Hello, hello. Good morning to everyone. Welcome to Vanik classes. Myself, Nishant. Today we'll be going to discuss some important questions with regards to chapter of banking sector and its miscellaneous chapters that are associated. We'll look after some questions and their deep concept explanation, and it is probably more or less these type of questions with the concepts are asked in the previous examinations of civil services. Welcome to Vanik Smart Classes. Let's start on. The first question is: devaluation of currency leads to what? Devaluation of currency leads to what? What will be the answer? Take your time and then answer. Take your time. It will expand. It will lead to expansion of export trade. It will lead to contraction of import trade, expansion of import substituting, and all of the above. Devaluation of currency will lead to what? Devaluation of currency will lead to expansion of trade, contraction of import trade, and expansion of import substituting. All the answers will be correct. It will lead to all of the above. All of the above. Here what will happen after in devaluation? It makes countries export less expensive. It makes countries less expensive as the currency is deliberately. The focus is on the word deliberately. That means जानबूझकर, by knowing in nature, knowingly, intentionally, deliberately adjusting down to other country's currency, thereby it will make imports more expensive in nature, more expensive in nature. What will happen when imports will become expensive in nature? What will happen when import will become expensive in nature? The domestic users will purchase it less. The products, imported products, will be purchased less, thus encouraging substitution of imports. Okay, हमेशा याद रखना, devaluation is directly proportional to imports. If the currency is devalued, import will fall down. If the currency is not devalued, the import will increase. Okay, please write it down fast. Next question. Next question. Next question. Yes, we'll move on to next question. Which of the following is not true when the interest rate when the interest rate in the economy goes up? Very conceptual question, yeah. Concept question. If your concept is not right, you won't be able to answer. It's saving increases, lending increases, cost of production, or return capital increases. What will be the answer? The answer will be none other than a return on capital increases. Return on capital increases. What? Write some notes. The rise in interest rates. The rise in interest rates results in increased borrowing. Increased borrowing, which will increased borrowing. Increased borrowing, what? Increased, actually it's not increased borrowing, it's rather more increased cost of borrowing. Increased cost of borrowing. Remember, in the question it was asked which of the following is not true. Not true. Remember the word not true. It is very important in civil services. It is very important in civil services to read the questions carefully. To read the questions carefully. It was asked which is not true, means which is wrong. Which is wrong. That was asked. The rise in increased rates results in increased cost of borrowing. So what happens? So what happens? The lending power decreases. The lending power decreases. Yes. जदि cost of बढ़े जिबो interest rate बढ़ी गले कोन हेबो? Cost of borrowing बढ़े जिबो. Cost of borrowing बढ़ी गले कोन? Lending power will decrease. Yes. Basic जिनस lending power decrease हेजिबा. ए lending power decrease हेले कोन करबो? Lending power decrease हेले कोन करबो? Bank business को funding मिली बने. Businesses will not get funds easily. Businesses will not get funds easily. Get fund easily. आने लगे बहुत महंगा पड़ेगा. Now एटा कोन होची? Moreover कोन हेबो? एटा हेले moreover एटा कोन हेबो? Moreover it leads to a rise in cost of production. Yes. जदि अगर एक जगह में अगर फंड मिलना मुश्किल हो गया, अगर लैंडिंग पावर ही मेरा कम हो गया है, मैं अगर दे नहीं पाऊंगा किसी को लोन, तो मैं जो बिजनेसेस चल रहे हैं वो क्या होंगे? इट विल लीड टू राइज इन कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन. राइज इन कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन. यस, वेरी हाईली लाइकली होगा कि होगा राइज इन कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन होगा. राइज इन कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन होगा. Then what will happen? What will happen? Now, increased cost of product lead to increased price of product. Thereby decrease in return on capital. Thereby decrease in return of capital. Why? Because the cost, everything, हर चीज का कॉस्ट बढ़ जाएगा. For suppose one is the last year one was earning 100 rupees, he was spending 20 rupees. But now if the rate of interest goes, no, this is not the perfect example. For suppose one bought 1000 rupees at the rate of 10%. So he was paying 100 rupees as interest. But now for the same 1000 rupees, tomorrow he is paying 12% interest. That means he is paying 120 rupees. The extra increase in 20 rupees, the extra increase in 20 rupees cost, that will lead to what? Increased price of production. Increased price of production will lead to decrease in return of capital. Understood? This is the concept behind it. I hope you are getting my point, what I wanted to say. अगर 1000 रुपीज पे था, 10% इंटरेस्ट मिल रहा था, अगर 100 रुपया मिलने लगा और 1000 रुपीज पे अगर वही चीज इंटरेस्ट रेट अगर बढ़ के 12% हो जाने से उसको 120 रुपीज का कॉस्ट लगेगा. द डिफरेंस ऑफ 20 रुपीज कॉस्ट विल लेड टू इंक्रीज इन द कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन, एंड व्हेन द कॉस्ट ऑफ प्रोडक्शन इज इंक्रीज्ड देयर विल बी डिक्रीज इन द रिटर्न ऑफ कैपिटल, वेयर ही विल गेट. अपने घर से तो कॉस्ट नहीं निकालेगा ना, he will, what he will do, he will increase its profit. ठीक है. Next question. The higher rate of interest in a low inflation region will do what? Attract people to make investment, discourage people to make an investment, create atmosphere for capital formation, are not favorable for credit expansion. What will be the exact answer? Suppose in an area, suppose there is a country called X, and X inflation rate is very low. X inflation rate is low, and the interest offered is high. If interest offered is high, if the cost is low, simply stating, if the cost is low, rate is high, interest rate offered is high, it is a heaven for investment area. It is a heaven investment country. Means what? If higher rates of interest are provided in a low inflation region, it will attract people to make more investment. Why? Because low cost and high interest means more of return on capital. The return on capital, or we can say the return on investment. The return on investment, that is called ROI, is very high. The return on investment is very high. That will create a heaven investment country. Okay. Okay. Have you written it? If yes, then we'll move on to next question. Okay, next question. Currency devaluation. Okay, listen correctly. Currency devaluation done by the government leads to which of the following? Currency devaluation done by government leads to which of the following? Fall in domestic prices, increase in domestic prices, no impact on domestic prices, irregular fluctuation in domestic prices. Very conceptual. What I told earlier, what is the effect on devaluation in the first question? What is the effect of devaluation? If we just switch back to the places, it does what? See, it does what? It does expansion of export, contraction of import. What it will do again? Substitution of import. Then what is its effect? What is its effect on anything? If it is asking about domestic impact, can you see any domestic impact on it? Any domestic impact on it? No, there remains no domestic impact on it. No domestic impact. Only devaluation, which is as I told earlier, it is a deliberate adjustment of currency to other country's currency. Since it is the valuation of currency is for external exports and imports, the internal value remains the same. That is why currency devaluation done by the government leads to no impact on domestic prices. No impact on domestic prices will be the right answer. No impact on domestic prices will be the right answer. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Consider the following statement. Fiat money is a term used for gold coins. Currency deposit ratio CDR is the proportion of total deposits commercial banks keep as reserve. Which one among of the following is correct? Which one of the following is correct? What will be answer? First, what is fiat money? What is fiat money? Fiat money, the currency notes and coins. Currency notes and coins are called fiat money. Currency notes and coins are called fiat money. So the first statement proves to be wrong. Currency deposit ratio is the proportion of total deposits commercial bank keeps as reserve. Nay, what is actually currency deposit ratio? Write it down. Currency deposit ratio. What is currency deposit ratio? Currency deposit ratio, what it does, it measures the relationship. It measures the relationship between the cash people have. Remember, it is the word mentioned is the cash people have, not the liquid money. The cash people have on hand. It is the liquid money. The cash people have on hand, and what they have left in their account. bank accounts, and what they have left in their accounts. This is called currency deposit ratio. So first is also wrong and second is also wrong. So what will be the answer? The answer will be neither one, neither two. Write the notes. Next question. Next question. Consider the following statements with regards to marginal standing facility of RBI. First, it will help in reducing volatility in the overnight lending rates in the interbank market. The borrowing under the MSF should be over and above the statutory liquidity requirement. This is what is called SLR. It's not that. Sure. What will be the answer? What is MSF? Marginal standing facility. Right. What is marginally standing facility? It is the rate at which it is the rate. It is the rate at which scheduled banks. Remember, huh? Scheduled banks. Under which schedule? Under which schedule? Second schedule. You know? अरे सेकंड शेड्यूल में होता है ना आरबीआई एक्ट का सेकंड शेड्यूल आरबीआई एक्ट 1934. It is the rate at which scheduled banks could borrow funds overnight from RBI against what? Against collateraled government securities, GSECs. Against collateral government securities. There is not free. You have to collateral your securities with the banks. When the MSF comes into action, it comes into action when banks face acute shortage of liquidity. When banks face acute shortage of liquidity. Okay, so the first statement is right. The borrowing under the marginal standing facility should be over and above statutory liquidity requirement. No. It is not over. It should be with the statutory liquidity requirement. It should not be over. It should be with the liquidity requirement. It should be with the only answer will be what? 1. It should be within. it cannot go beyond the statutory liquidity requirement. Not possible. Okay. Next question. Basel III norms target at which of the following? Basel III norms target which of the following? Basically, what are the Basel? These are the norms which banks follow for maintaining the capital. Under Basel norm, it is provided capital adequacy ratio. Capital adequacy ratio. The CAR should be greater than 9% for private banks, for government banks, for nationalized banks, and more be 10% for private banks. But the Basel III norms says that for other countries it should be 8%, but this 9% and 10% is set by RBI, which look after there are three tier 1 capital and tier 2 capital: minimum capital and supplementary capital. Tier 1 is minimum capital requirement, and tier 2 is supplementary capital requirement for risks. Basel III norms is a chapter in itself. Basel III norms is a chapter in itself. It's a very important thing while working for the banking industry. It will improve what? It will improve banking sector's ability to absorb shocks arising from financial and economical stress. That is called tier 2 capital, supplementary capital. Improving risk management and governance. Yes, the rising NPAs can be controlled with the Basel III norms. Strengthens bank transparency. Yes, that all three are correct. It should be D, all 1, 2 and 3. Next question. If all the banks are nationalized and converted into a monopoly bank, then the total deposits will increase, will decrease, will increase, will neither increase or decrease, none of the above. What effect will it have? What effect will it have? It will increase? No. It will increase? No. It will decrease? No. Will neither increase nor decrease? Yes. It will have no effect. Why? Because banks do not increase. Banks do not have any impact on national income. डिपॉजिट तो डिपॉजिट रहेगा ना, चाहे वो नेशनलाइज बैंक में भी रहे, चाहे वो कोई सा बैंक में भी रहे, प्राइवेट बैंक में रहे, एक ही बैंक में रहे, द डिपॉजिट्स विल नाइदर इंक्रीज नॉट डिक्रीज, इट विल रिमेन द सेम. Okay, it will increase the same. It will neither increase nor decrease. Be it private, be it public, your funds तो फंड्स ही है ना. अगर मोनोपोली एक बैंक में बन गया तो भी सारे फंड्स तो जमा तो होते रहेंगे ना. आरटीजीएस, एनईएफटी, बेसिक बैंकिंग फैसिलिटीज विल go around or will go on. You cannot be like ये नहीं हो सकता, वो नहीं हो सकता. Right? Next question. Which of the following statement best describes the term scheme for sustainable structuring of stressed asset? S for A. S for A. It is a procedure for considering ecological cost of development schemes formulated by government. It is a scheme of RBI for reworking the financial structure of big corporate entities facing genuine difficulties. It is a disinvestment plan of the government regarding central public sector undertakings. It is an important provision in the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code recently implemented by government, IBC 2016. What will be the answer, my friends? S for A. It is a scheme for RBI for reworking the financial structure of big corporate entities facing genuine difficulties. It will what? It will help. It will help in restructuring. It will help in restructuring of corporate loans. It will help in restructuring of corporate loans. Right? It will help in restructuring of corporate loans. The answer will be 2. Sustainable structuring of stressed assets. Stressed assets means looking after, going after NPAs, non-performing assets. Okay, next question. Which of the following was the purpose of setting up small financial banks to supply credit to small business units? Yes. To supply credit to marginal farmers and small and marginal farmers? Yes. To encourage young entrepreneurs to set up business, particular in rural areas? No. What are small finance bank? When it was established, it was established in 2015 under the recommendations of whose committee? Of Usha Thorat committee. Please write it down, it's important. Usha Thorat committee for better financial inclusion. Small financial banks, they are allotted to work in a limited geographical area. Examples are Jana Small Financial Bank, Sarvodaya Small Financial Bank, Ujjivan Small Finance Bank, AU Small Finance Bank, etc. With the recommendation small finance bank, there was one type of more banks, was the payments bank. The payment banks, The payment banks was also introduced. This small finance bank look after small marginal customers, for low household people. For them it looks. Paytm payment banks was Paytm payment banks was introduced upon uh, Nachiket More committee. Nachiket More committee. Nachiket More committee. Small finance bank under Usha Thorat committee for better financial inclusion. For they work in limited area. They can easily lend. They can easily lend and do all transactions, but they have some conditions. What, like they need 3 years for 3 years for branch expansion. 3 years for branch expansion. It's not easy to get them their branches expanded. Okay. Next question. Next question. Which of the following can join the national pension system? National pension system. NPS was compulsory for whom? NPS was compulsory. NPS was compulsory for whom? Except for armed forces. Except for armed forces, every central government can have the NPS. So he should be a resident Indian citizens only. No, sitting though who were outside, like NRIs, non-resident Indians. NRIs were also allowed to have their national payment system in India. So no. Persons of age from 21 to 25 only. No, it was rather 18 to 57, I guess. 18 to 55. 18 to 55 was the age. It's not 21 to 25. All state government employees joining the services after the date of notification by the respective states. Yes, they can join. All central government employees, including those of armed forces, no. Except for armed forces. Everyone could join. Okay. Next question. An increase in CRR by the Reserve Bank of India results in what? Decrease in debt of government, reduction in the liquidity in the economy, reduction of liquidity. It might be reduction of liquidity in the economy, attracting more FDI in the country, more flow of credit to desired sectors. What is increase in CRR? First, let's understand what is CRR. CRR, cash reserve ratio. It is called CRR, cash reserve ratio. It is the ratio in which amount of funds that banks are bound to keep with RBI. to keep with RBI. This amount is what? This amount is a amount, a certain portion of NDTL, net demand and time liabilities. Net demand and time liabilities, the of certain percent. It is like around 4 to 4.5% is the rate at which it must be kept. When RBI when RBI increases CRR, what happens when RBI increases CRR? They mean what? They have to keep, then they have to keep large amount of funds with RBI, large amount of funds with RBI. That means what? That banks will now have less money. Banks will now have less money. If the money is low, they will not be able to lend more. Lending more is difficult. Then what will happen? It will lead to reduction in liquidity of economy, reduction of liquidity in the economy. Understood? अगर मैं suppose my father gave me 100 rupees. My father gave me 100 rupees. Now one of my friend asked me to lend him 20 rupees. I lended him. I had 80 rupees, and in 80 rupees I can survive for good amount. For suppose I have 30 rupees. My friend again asked me for 20 rupees. Can I lend him and survive on 10 rupees? No. So if the CRR increases, there is a reduction in liquidity. If you are not able to understand this way, you can understand in this way. For suppose your father gave you 100 rupees and now your friend asked for 20 rupees. Now you have 80 rupees to survive. Yes. Again tomorrow your father gave you 20 rupees. Now your friend is asking for 50 rupees. Can you survive on 50 rupees? No. So increase in CRR, this is CRR. Increase in CRR leads to reduction in liquidity. The best example you can understand. It is the same amount. If the CRR is 20 rupees, then you have liquidity of 80 rupees. The moment your CRR is increased, you are giving more money for the friend, you are having less liquidity. CRR increases, liquidity decreases. CRR decreases, liquidity increases. Basic funda. Okay, next question. When the RBI wants to inject liquidity, means what? It wants to pump in liquidity into the economy. It may adopt the following: buy government securities from banks, enter into reverse repo operations, raise CRR, reduce SLR. What will be the answer? When the banks will it will enter into reverse repo operations. It will enter into reverse repo operations. See, this is a tricky question. Banks hai. If banks have suppose 1000 rupees, and if the government is buying 1000 rupees from them, then government what will have? The government will have the government will have money buying government securities. It will inject money into the market, and the banks will give him. Let's understand like this. First, raising cash reserve ratio. What will I said? If you are raising CRR, the liquidity will decrease. So this is wrong. Buying back government securities from banks. Buying back. This is a tricky question. This is a bit of tricky. It is tricky, Buying government securities from banks. Suppose the banks have securities, and government has cash. The government what will do? If the government will give cash to bank, then the bank will give securities. So it is injecting liquidity. Yes. Just wait. It is injecting liquidity. Yes. For a minute, one is right. Second, last, it reduces SLR. Reducing SLR also increases in liquidity. But this injection into liquidity, okay, there's something wrong in the question, I guess. No, taken. But the okay. There's something wrong. This is also okay. Entering into reverse repo operations. This is also okay. I think I couldn't print out the options properly. Just give me a second. Now, the answer will be buying back from government securities. Buying back. It's like, the answer will be buy the government securities from the banks. What will happen when banks will give back the securities? The government will pump them with money. So thereby government is injecting liquidity with the help of RBI. Okay, next question. Consider the following statements in regard to devaluation and depreciation of a currency. The devaluation is an activity conducted by central government whereas depreciation happens due to market forces. In both devaluation and depreciation, currency loses value against other currencies in a floating exchange market. No, this is completely wrong. This is the right thing. Devaluation is activity conducted by central government, whereas depreciation happens due to market forces. In devaluation, as I told you earlier, the government decides and deliberate adjustment is there. Devaluation, depreciation is the most confusing concept of banking economies. Deliberately adjusting it, but in depreciation, depreciation, the depreciation when depreciation is loses it does depreciation what it depreciation has direct impact on market forces. Direct impact on market forces. The market forces detects if the currency of a country is going to depreciate or not. If a government decides to change its if a government decides to change its currency at less valuable, that is called devaluation. But depreciation happens because of the change in the floating exchange rate. Of what is floating exchange rate? Market investment क्या है? It depends upon it. Depreciation depends upon a floating exchange rate. Floating exchange rate, which means the global investment market determines the value of a country's currency. To easily remember, devaluation is deliberate, it is in control of government, but depreciation is not controlled, rather it is driven by market forces. The external economies, the external trade will make sure whether your currency gets appreciated or it gets depreciated. It is not in the hands of depreciation. सरकार के हाथ में नहीं होता है, डिवैल्यूएशन होता है. वैल्यू को कम करना बढ़ाना सरकार के हाथ में है, बट पैसा का गिरना बढ़ना मार्केट के हाथ में है. डिवैल्यूएशन क्या होता है? हम वैल्यू लगा रहे हैं खुद से, बट डेप्रिसिएशन क्या हो रहा है? वैल्यू गिर जा रहा है अपने आप से, बिना कुछ किए तो नहीं बोलेंगे. मार्केट ऑपरेशंस के चक्कर में अगर वो गिर जा रहा है तो वो डेप्रिशिएट हो जा रहा है. मार्केट ऑपरेशन मतलब क्या? इंटरनेशनल मार्केट डिटरमाइन करेगा कि आपका क्या चल रहा है. यूएस डॉलर का आईएनआर में क्या रेट चल रहा है, आईएनआर का जीबीपी में क्या चल रहा है, यूरो का डॉलर में क्या चल रहा है, वो ग्लोबल मार्केट डिटरमाइन करता है, आपका नहीं करता है. फॉर दिस पर्टिकुलर रीजन, for this volatility of currency, what now India is doing in local currency business, currency swap arrangement. Have you know currency swap arrangement? Yesterday we read about it. India has started to have trading in their local currency, thereby eliminating the third party, that is dollar. India, Iran, Russia, they have started to deal in their own domestic currency by eliminating the requirement of a third party. Right. Next question and final question of the day. In the context of Indian economy, open market operations refers to what? In the context of Indian economy, the open market operations refers to what? What will be its answer? Anyone? Purchase and sale of government securities by RBI? No. अरे हो गया. हाँ, sorry. Buy back from government securities नहीं. Enter into नहीं. what I am reading here. Borrowing by scheduled banks from RBI, no. Lending by commercial banks to industry and trade, no. A purchase and sale of government securities by RBI. Purchase and sale of securities by RBI, yes. None of the above, no. It's C. It's always C. What is open market operations? Anyone knows about open market operations? Write down the notes. Open market operations by RBI for the purchase and sale of G-Secs. Purchase and sale of G-Secs. When RBI feels, what RBI feels, if it needs to inject liquid, if excess liquidity in market, if excess liquidity is there in market, then what will happen? If there is excess liquidity in market, it will resort to sale of securities. When RBI feels excess liquidity is there, it will start sale of securities. When it feels that there is injection of liquidity, it wants to inject liquidity, what it resort to purchase of securities. Basic funda sun lo, understand it. Please an example. For suppose there is 10 lakh rupees, RBI feels it is extra 10 lakh rupees. What will RBI do? RBI will issue government securities to whom? Banks. It will banks and other institutions to individuals. It will take 10 lakh rupees from the market, and it will provide government securities to market. 10 लाख रुपया मार्केट से ले जाएंगे और गवर्नमेंट सिक्योरिटीज दे देंगे. And when the bank feels there is a need of 10 lakh rupees in the market, what it will do? It will sell its securities, and then it will sell its securities. Then it will sell its securities and get the money pumped into the market. जब 10 लाख रुपया ज्यादा होगा बैंक में, क्या करेगा बैंक? सिक्योरिटीज 10 लाख का बेच देगा और सारा पैसा घर लेके चला जाएगा. जब मार्केट में लगेगा पैसा ज्यादा है, सिक्योरिटीज लेके जाएगा और पैसा लेके जाएगा और लोगों को बोलेगा जो सिक्योरिटीज आप रखे हो वो मेरे को दे दो. ये क्या का परचेज ऑफ सिक्योरिटीज होगा. Rather it should be done as less excess liquidity. excess liquidity अगर होगा तो क्या करेंगे? सेल करेंगे, सेल ऑफ सिक्योरिटीज. व्हेन देयर इज इनफ्लो करना है लिक्विडिटी का, इनफ्लो लिक्विडिटी करना है तो परचेज ऑफ सिक्योरिटीज. Simple. I hope you would have enjoyed this session and you could have understood. When it wants अगर बैंक को लिक्विडिटी मार्केट में से लिक्विडिटी लेना है, बैंक को अगर लेना है तो वो क्या करेंगे? अपना सिक्योरिटीज को सेल करके पैसा घर ले आएंगे. बट जब बैंक को लगता है कि भैया, सरकार को लगता है जब मार्केट में पैसा लगाना है तो जो सिक्योरिटीज आपको दिया हुआ रहता है वो सिक्योरिटीज सरकार ले लेगा, और आपका जो पैसा वो लिया रहता है वो आपका पैसा पंप इन करके मार्केट में छोड़ देगा. दिस operation is called open market operations with regards to G securities. G sec मतलब क्या होता है? Government securities. What are government securities? कल बताया था ना, it are those securities which remain free of charge रहते हैं. Free of charge रहते हैं का मतलब क्या होता है भैया? ये ओनरशिप फ्री होता है. फ्री ओनरशिप मतलब क्या होता है? कोई इसमें दावेदारी नहीं ठोक सकता कि ये मेरा था, ये मेरा है. फ्री ऑफ चार्ज होता है. ओनर कौन होता है इसका? गवर्नमेंट होता है. फ्री ऑफ चार्ज होता है ये. This is open market operations. I hope you would have liked the session. If there is any further doubt, feel free to put your comments at the video. Thereby, I am resting my case. Thank you. Bye bye. Take care. Please read and revise.